birth of a star begins with collapse. Dust and gas in dark clouds begin collapsing on themselves. And they exert so much pressure, so much energy, so much force, pushing and pulling, that the hydrogen atoms in this collapsing cloud begin to fuse together. The heat, the light produced, creates a star, and it's born out of that collapse. That's the journey that our sun, that our star has taken in its birth, in its life, in its journey to us. In front of a star, I welcome you to our gathering this morning. Our sun is the source of our light, our warmth, our life. And I wish that to each of you today: light, warmth, and abundant life. I want to welcome you to our series of everyday sacraments. The beauty and the wisdom in the ordinary. Today, part 4. The stars. Here in central Alberta, this is Treaty 6 land. We acknowledge the beauty and sacredness of the land wherever we happen to be on the planet. Take a moment, right now, to drink in the beauty of the land. Maybe you can see out a window. Maybe you're sitting outside. Maybe you can see our star. Let's take a moment to appreciate this land, the first peoples who call it home, and the lessons we can learn from them. Remember our tangled journey together, Indigenous and non-Indigenous. And let's remember our commitment to reconciliation. In the glow of this morning light, I want to invite you to place a smaller light in your midst. Bring just a small piece of the sun inside with you today. Light a candle. Let it burn and glow so that you can, for a short time anyway, center yourself in its system, in its warmth, in its light, in its life. Friends, we are together. We are community. Welcome to each of you. And so we join our voices together to strengthen our intentions for this day, for our lives and our living. We speak these words either together, or we read them silently, or we simply let them wash over us as we intend these words with each other. In all our diversity, we share the quest to cultivate a meaningful life. We wonder about ancient and new ways to live fully and love deeply, to be inspired by knowledge and wisdom that can nudge us into a new consciousness. As we seek to be connected with all that's within us and around us, may we allow love to infuse us and flow from us. And may we open to the wisdom that invites us to know ourselves more fully and shape our living more deeply. As those who walk a common road, may it be so.
Treat the earth gently, nourish the life
As we prepare for our Time for All Ages today, I want to take one moment and acknowledge the wonderful people in the room that are bringing you this experience today. For our musicians and instrumentalists, for Pam and Janet, thank you. And for our vocalists, to Heidi and to Pam, much appreciation for what you bring. And for Dara and Andrea in the booth, thank you to you and all that you're doing. Today, for our Time for All Ages, we're going to view a short film available on YouTube, and I encourage you to check it out. This is that film entitled Star Stuff, a little short retrospective and memoir of Carl Sagan, the cosmic teacher and astrophysicist, as he reflected on his childhood and has been put to film. And so we'll watch that together now.
$896, $989, $994. How many are there? Where do they end? My father told me about big numbers with wicked-sounding names, followed by more zeros than anyone could ever write. He said how there's no biggest number. You can always add one. Suddenly, everything feels a lot bigger, except for me. Night after night, I'd look at the stars. But what are they? And what keeps them from falling on our heads? For my father, they weren't much more than lights in the sky, but he encouraged me to explore further. I asked our pharmacist. He is old and wise, but the stars were as mysterious to him as they were to me. A kid from the block? Well, let's just say he wasn't too fond of questions, answers, or me. As for my teacher, if the stars weren't in the curriculum, it was as if they didn't exist. Perhaps there's really nothing more to know. The stars might not hold any exciting secrets after all. Maybe they float above us just so we could enjoy their beauty. Luckily, my mother wasn't as ready to give up. She took me to the place where people pursue answers. I asked for a book on stars. I also learned the value of asking precise questions. It turns out there's more to know, much more. Our sun is also a star, not even the brightest, nor the biggest, just the closest. While it is important to us, it's hardly as unique as we'd like to think. Across the sea of space, there might be worlds attending other stars. While some might be similar to ours, most are vastly different. Who lives on these worlds? And are they, at this very moment, thinking about us? A mere twinkle of light in their skies. I need to know more. Suddenly, everything feels a lot bigger, except for me. There must be thousands of them. Twinkle, twinkle, great big star. Astronomers know just what you are. The self-same stuff in space between.
Its atoms rare and quite unseen. Rapidly approaching reality is the dream of space travel. Flight to other planets, once in the realm of science fiction, is now within our grasp. Someday, man will venture beyond this planetary system, through a dark, illimitable ocean, to the planets of other stars. We began as wanderers, and we are wanderers still. Millions of worlds to visit.
We are drifting.
We are drifting.
We are drifting in a great ocean of space and time. In that ocean, the events that shape the future are working themselves out. The roots of the present lie buried in the past. There are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on all the beaches of the planet Earth. The cosmos is rich beyond measure, with billions upon billions of stars. The cosmos is also within us. The nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood, everything we are made of was forged in the interiors of collapsing stars. We are made of star stuff. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself. Star stuff, contemplating the stars. Think of the possibilities.
After Neil deGrasse Tyson, Black astrophysicist and director of the Hayden Planetarium, born in 1958 in New York City. In his youth, deGrasse Tyson was confronted by police on more than one occasion when he was on his way to study stars. And he tells this story about, on one of the occasions, getting the cop coming because a neighbor called and he lives, and the cop ends up looking through the telescope. Body of space, body of dark, body of light. The Skyview Apartments, circa 1973, a boy is kneeling on the rooftop. A boy who, it is important to mention here, his skin is brown, prepares his telescope, the weights and rods, to better see the moon. His neighbor, it is important to mention here that she is white, calls the police because she suspects the brown boy of something, she does not know what at first, then turns with her looking his telescope into a gun, his duffel into a bag of objects thieved from the neighbors' houses, maybe even hers. And the police, it is important to mention that statistically they are also white, arrive to find the boy who has been turned by now into the suspect on the roof with a long black lens, which is, in the neighbor's mind, a weapon. And depending on who you are reading this, listening to this, you know that the boy is in grave danger, and you might have known somewhere quiet in your gut, you might have worried for him in the white space between lines 5 and 6, or maybe even earlier. And you might be holding your breath for him right now because you know this story. It's a true story, though miraculously, in this version of the story anyway, the boy on the roof of the Skyview lives to tell the police that he is studying the night and moon, and lives long enough to offer them, the cops, a view through his telescope's long black eye, which, if I am spelling it out anyway, is the instrument he borrowed and the beautiful trouble he went through, lugging it up to the roof to better see the leopard body of space speckled with stars and the moon far off, much farther than, since I am spelling the thing out, the distance between the white neighbor who cannot see the boy who is her neighbor, who in fact is much nearer to her than to the moon, the boy who wants to understand the large and gloriously unhuman mysteries of the galaxy, the boy who, despite America, has not been killed by the murderous jury of his neighbor's imagination and wound. This poem wants only the moon in its hair and the boy on the roof, this boy on the roof of this poem with the moon in his heart. Inside my own body, as I write this poem, my body is making a boy, even as the radio calls out the Missouri Coroner's News, the Ohio Coroner's News 2015. My boy will nod for his milk and close his mouth around the black eye of my nipple. We will survive. How did it happen? The boy, the cops, my body in this poem, my milk pulling down into droplets of light as the baby drinks and drinks them down into the body that is his own. See it, splayed and sighing as a star in my arms. Maybe he will be the boy who studies stars. Maybe he will be, say it, the boy on the coroner's table, splayed and spangled by an officer's lead, as if he too weren't made of a trillion glorious cells and sentences trying to last. Leadless, remember the body's beginning, splendored with breaths turned by time into at least this song, this moment made, and the mackerel soul caught flashing inside the brief moment of the body's net, then whoosh back into the sea of space. The poem dreams of bodies always leadless, bearing only things ordinary as water and light.
The brilliant light we see from our star is 8 minutes old. That's a pretty quick trip from the sun to our third planet. But when we ponder the other stars in our night sky, the ones that twinkle at us on a clear night, these twinkles are tens of thousands, even millions of years old. For the most distant ones, their brilliance in our sky has far outlasted their existence. The light we see originating from a star that no longer exists. The science of stellar light can be for us some wisdom of significance. That the challenge and the darkness, the swirling clouds of extreme pressure and temperature that birthed all the matter that became the earth and everything in it, that became us. The fact that it all began in a dense cloud of dust is a beginning whose end is something that shines beyond our imagination. To become who knows what. We are the shining result of an exploded star. Our own challenge and pressure, our own days of darkness, those too can be, if we heed this wisdom, transformed into who knows what brilliant thing. The black boy on the roof with his telescope, the story of Neil deGrasse Tyson, and interpreted in poetry by Araceli Germain, is to some a cute story of a chance encounter, and to others is a story that's too familiar of racial aggression, a near-miss story of almost violence. The class and race system of profiling, of danger, of fear. In this poem, we recognize the fear of neighbor, the mistrust of difference, the danger of misused authority, the threat of systemic racism and violence, and the all too real terror that exists in our world. All of these dreads have something to do with the way we see each other. The way we gather ourselves into our tribes and our bubbles, into our us's and them's. Many, many of our fears stem from these places. From her poem, the distance between the white neighbor who cannot see the boy who is her neighbor, who in fact is much nearer to her than to the moon. The boy who wants to understand the large and gloriously unhuman mysteries of the galaxy. The boy who, despite America, has not been killed by the murderous jury of his neighbor's imagination and wounds. Whatever wisdom that we share with one another, whether it's folk wisdom or spiritual wisdom or something we learned from reading the stream of our internet, whatever wisdom we share with one another must be that which counters the culture of fear and distrust. Otherwise, we're simply building that world of fear. It has to be one that counters the culture of smallness and pettiness and sees beyond it to something bigger. The delightful film about Carl Sagan's young life inspired by the stars reminds us of that play between small and big. One of the lines in that film was from Carl himself, who said that when he looked out into the stars, he felt that everything was big except for him. Carl Sagan's successor in the realm of cosmic wisdom teacher, Neil deGrasse Tyson, shares the second part of what needs to be the second part of that wisdom. This is Neil deGrasse Tyson. When I look up at the night sky and I know that yes, we are part of this universe, we are in this universe, but perhaps more important is that the universe is in us. He says, when I reflect on that fact, I look up, and many people feel small because they are small and the universe is big. But I feel big because my atoms came from those stars. What difference could it make if we all were allowed to feel big? Not small, not inconsequential. Not so weak that the pressure of the world squeezes us out, but big, important, significant. Every discovery of new wisdom, new science, new ideas, new ways of seeing, all these things help us to look at ourselves and our world differently. Hopefully to see even something that we didn't think about in a bigger way. Any knowledge and wisdom worth anything to us should help us alter our perception. Hearing a friend tell a story about their day alters our perception. Meeting a new person and learning something about a life, a place, an experience we didn't know before alters our perception. Experiencing both great joy and deep sorrow is a discovery that alters our perception. And going about our boring, ordinary days, just simply with an open mind and heart and a spirit of compassion. All of it is a task in altered perception. We are, all of us, here to expand our consciousness, to think bigger, to be bigger, to include more and more perspectives, people, and possibilities. We may not care about astrophysical descriptions of light and matter, but we are here to shine our own light and live lives that matter. We are here to alter our perceptions and allow that to increase the size of our lives. That we won't live small lives compared to other small lives and eking out one more millimeter into that life, sometimes at the expense of another's. No. But to alter our perceptions, shine our own light, and increase the size of our lives at no one's expense. As large and important as the stars from which we came, that is who we are. Suns that shine not despite their explosive pasts, but because of our explosive pasts. That is a life full of spirit. That's a life worth discovering. Our hope in exploring the ordinary wisdom of the stars is that we will see, like in every aspect that we're exploring, they're not so ordinary. May we continue to alter our perceptions and live into a life that matters, a big life. A life of light that shines beyond its own existence, a life filled with the wisdom of star stuff, because that's who we are. May it be so for me, for you, for all of us, in so many ways.
The earth is our cradle, our ground and our home. The sky is our blanket, protective and warm. The stars are our ancestors, ancient and bright. Their glories a glimpse of our life spinning light. The creatures of land, the swimmers of sea, the birds of the air, the green plants and trees, they're all our siblings with equal share, with earth as our home and duty of care. Our ancient atoms arranged and reformed, connect us and bind us with the stuff of the stars. When all is over, our substance returned to our elements' birthplace, our atoms' next turn.
We know that light never stays the same, changes as the sun crosses our day's path, changes as the moon lights our dark way, the stars shine in the sky. So too does the light of our life never stay the same. So too does the light of our connection. And so as it changes, and it changes form, we know that the adventure of this day and of the days to come is just beginning. From the pressure and challenge into the glory and the brightness of what is to come next, may this day be for you wisdom of discovery. May it be the stuff of stars to shine in the world. May you go, be safe, be well, until we see you again.